Hey everyone, so that last tutorial was pretty big. Are you ready to move on? Hi everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Jingle All the Way quilt. You know what? We only have 5 blocks left. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We did so good. We are just jamming along, and look at this. So we have sections 1 through 5 completely done. This is a huge quilt. Oh my goodness. So that's sections 1 through 5, and then we also have section 6 through 11. Can you even see all of this? It's a lot, right? So that last tutorial that we did really showed us how far along we've gotten, because then we got to sew them together, and we basically have 2 big sections of quilt already done. So today we're going to work on the North Pole neighborhood. It's those cute little house blocks. They're not really too little, actually. So there are 3 of them, and I'm going to go over all 3 of them. You can decide to do them one at a time. You can do all 3. I haven't started looking at hoop sizes. We actually, if you have a big hoop, might even be able to get all 3 of them in one hoop. I haven't even looked at that yet, so let's just go over what we need. So the North Pole neighborhood, on the oldest Jingle All the Way book, it's on page 8. All right, so I don't know for all the different revisions, but that should give you some information anyway. All right, so grab your packet. It's a pretty big packet. Mine's an extra big packet because I've got more to talk about with you. But like I said, page 8, there are 3 house blocks. So I'm just going to grab all my stuff out of here, and there are a few things to go over. So I'm going to go over them all at once. I was thinking to do each one, but they're all the same sizes, so I'm going to go over all of them and just say which one's for which. So hopefully that won't be too confusing. All right, so lots of stuff here. Hopefully I don't drop it all. All right, so we're going to start with our main fabric. So our main fabric, there's 3 houses. 2 of them have the gray with white dots on them, and one of them has white with big white dots. All right, so there's 2 of these gray with white dots and 1 with white with big white dots. All right, 3 of these. Make sure to back these with fusible stabilizer. As you can see, they're pretty big fabrics. You want to make sure not to get puckering with your fabric. So we're going to start with these at 8.5 by 10.5, and like I said, 2 of them are the gray with white dots, 8.5 by 10.5, and 1 of them is the white dots with white fabric with white dots. All right, 8.5 by 10.5, backed with fusible stabilizer for sure. All right, 3 of them total. All right, that's our main fabric. And then the next thing that we'll go over, find a place for all of these little things. All right, the next one is for the house itself. So the fabric for the house. So there's 3 of them, of course. The first one, so house 1 is going to be the green scroll fabric, and all of these are going to be 4 by 5. All right, 4 by 5 for your fabric for the house. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. These are applique pieces. I like to do it for them as well, but it's totally optional. All right, so the first one, like I said, house 1 is this green scroll fabric, and then for house 2, it's the black with white dots fabric, again 4 by 5. I backed mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. And then the last one, house 3, is the red scroll fabric. All right, red scroll fabric in 4 by 5, right? 4 by 5 for your fabric for the houses. All right, 3 houses total, 3 fabrics, all of them different. So keep that in mind when we go to the computer and merge all of our all of our blocks together. They're going to be different colors, so we're not really going to want to do a color sort. I've got like this little string flying around. So we'll have to keep that in mind. So I'm going to definitely color sort so that I get all of the batting done at once, but I may not do it on the houses. I think the only thing that is the same on all 3 is the windows. So we'll have to keep that in mind. All right, so the next part is the chimney, I think. Let's see, door, sorry, the door for the house. All right, so the door for the house, there are 3 fabrics again for house 1, 2, and 3, and these are going to be 2 by 2.5. All right, 2 by 2.5. And the first one, house 1, is this black plaid fabric. All right, and then also for house 3 is the black plaid. Okay, so 2 of those at 2 by 2.5, and 1 for house 2 is going to be this red stripe fabric. Notice it is a directional fabric. It looks like in the picture the lines are going horizontally. All right, so you'll want to cut your fabric in that way so that you get the right direction. So 2 by 2.5, fabric 1, fabric 2, and fabric 3. Okay, this is for the door for the houses. And then we have the windows. So on all 3 windows, yep, it's all the same. This is the only one that has all of the pieces the same. So it is this white houndstooth fabric, white on white houndstooth. And we want these to be 2.5 by 2.5 for the window on each of the houses. All right, so I did back mine. I would recommend backing these with fusible stabilizer. It will help because it's going to be against those the house fabrics. All right, so you don't want your white fabric to look partially green or anything like that. So I do recommend backing these with fusible stabilizer. If you don't usually do your applique pieces, at least do these white windows. All right, so 3, all of them with the white on white houndstooth, and we want these to be 2.5 by 2.5, 3 pieces backed with fusible stabilizer for the windows. All right, and then we have the roof for each of them. So on the roof, so how this one, all of these are going to be 3 by 5.5. All right, so they're going to go this way, 3 by 5.5, which actually, that's funny. You would think it would say 5.5 by 3, I think. Anyway, 3 by 5.5, and the first one is the red with white dots on it, big white dots. And then the second one for house 2 is the black and white houndstooth. And then for house number 3, it's the green with big white dots on it. All right, all 3 of these are going to be 3 by 5.5, and I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you, whatever works for you. These are applique pieces for the roof. All right, 3 for the roof. And then we have the chimney. And then we're done, actually. It's not that bad, really. I mean, it kind of feels like a lot because that packet was so full, but it's not that bad. All right, so for the chimney, we want them to be 2 by 2. There's 3 different fabrics, 2 by 2. All right, and this one, it actually goes this way. So it is this red chevron stripes, and this one has been discontinued. So if you received a product from our sponsor, it would have been this red thin line fabric. All right, I'm not sure the name of it, but this is the one that our sponsor did instead of this one. All right, so 2 by 2, either of these fabrics. This is for house 1. All right, with that substitution, if you receive the substitution. And then for house 2, it is the green, I think it's called awning, but I'm not absolutely sure. I think awning is the newer one. This is the older one, if I recall. Yeah, so that's how I've got it right. So this one, notice the fabrics, again, it's directional, and the in the picture, let's see, for the chimney, it shows it with the stripes going vertically. All right, so 2 by 2, and this one also, I'm not sure if it's this one or this one. It might be for both of these, actually. I have a substitution, and this one is that awning that I was mentioning. All right, I'm not sure if it's for, it might just be for this chevron one. But anyway, so this one is for fabric number 2, for house number 2, the chimney, 2 by 2. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. And then the third one is the green chevron. Again, notice it's directional. And this is the one that I was saying, I'm almost certain this is the one that is our substitute. So you would have received this from our sponsor if you ordered recently. If you have the fabric kit from years and years ago, it would have been this chevron one. All right, so 2 by 2, either way, 2 by 2, that is for chimney number 3. And that's all of the fabrics for the 3 houses. We do have our batting. So 3 pieces of batting, 3 blocks, 3 pieces of batting, and this is going to be 7 by 9. All right, 7 by 9 for your batting, 3 pieces, 7 by 9 for your batting. All right. And then I wanted to mention one thing. So we are going to do the fringe. There are wreaths on the doors that is fringe. And so grab, if you have that water soluble bobbin thread, this works really well. I used it just recently on a tiny little piece. Usually I just do the cutting, and I used it on a little piece and it worked pretty well. So if you haven't purchased this yet, I will add a link here to my Amazon storefront. I have it in there. Your local quilt shop probably has it as well. So this one, it is, what was it called? Vanish. All right. Vanish water soluble bobbin thread. That is to do the fringe wreath. All right. And I will show you how to do that. I will go through it step by step. It's actually much simpler than you think. You just have to, what I say is put on your big girl panties and just trust the process. All right. But if you really, really don't like to do those, so I didn't realize at first that there were wreaths on it. I didn't notice, because if you look at the book, it doesn't show the wreath, all right? It does show in the final project, like if you look, yeah. So, and even then, it's pretty hard to see, all right? So here's the 3 houses. They're going to be at the top, and there are these little tiny wreaths on there, and we will make those fringe. But I didn't realize that at the time, so I bought this fabric, and I just want to point this out to give you options, right? So look at how fun this is. So if you have a fabric that is something fun, I thought this would be so cute to put in the door, right? As the door fabric. I thought this was just super cute, and I was pretty excited about it until I realized that we have wreaths that we're going to put on there. So I'm almost certain I won't use this fabric, but I wanted to point out, if you have something that you could fussy cut and make cute, that's an idea. All right. So each of these are like 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and our fabric for the door is 2 by 2 1/2. So it really would work. So I just wanted to point this out. It was something cute. I got this from my local shop, and I just thought it was really a fun idea. So I don't know. I still have to think about it and decide on that, but I just wanted to point it out that you could do something fun if you don't want to do the wreath, but the wreaths are pretty cool too. I've done the wreaths before. I think we did it on Cup of Cheer. Although I think Cup of Cheer, we had like this thing that we put into a wreath. I don't recall exactly, but we've done lots of fringe stuff, and that's always fun too. All right, so our final cut size on this is going to be 6 1/2 by 8 1/2. That means we want a quilting design that is 6 by 8. Whatever quilting design you choose, we want 6 by 8. I actually haven't chosen yet. I'm kind of leaning toward the Christmas 16. That's the one I talked about in a previous video that has the houses and the gingers. That might be pretty cute, but I'm going to leave it and I'm going to decide. I'll add a text box later saying what I finalize on, but whatever you decide, you want it to be 6 by 8. And I don't recall what it said on the Kimberbell quilt of what they recommend. I will add a text box saying that as well. But I haven't decided yet. So I'm going to wait until we get to the computer and check out a few different options. But I wanted to get this video filmed now while I'm showered. That's always a good time to do a video, don't you think? All right. So, whatever design that you choose, whatever quilting design, 6 by 8. All right. And we want 3 of them. And I am going to bring you over to the computer. Not right now. I'll do it a little bit later. So I'll have different clothing on, but I wanted to get this going, like I said, and I will see what fits. And like, maybe we could get it all in one hooping. Maybe it'll take 2. I'm not absolutely sure yet, but very doable. I mean, this, what we did yesterday with all of the mini border blocks, like those were just quilting. They're super simple, but there was a lot of them. And so this 3 houses, not too bad, right? And oh my gosh, after we're done, we're going to have 2 blocks left to do. That's it. We are doing so great. So I'm going to bring you over to the computer in a bit and see what we can fit into one hooping. Hey everyone. So I ended up making a last minute trip to California late last night. And so I have my little travel computer. So things are going to look a little different and the lighting is definitely very different. So let's just muddle through here. But I've got my good microphone, so that's good. So I'm going to just quickly show you how to merge 2 of these house blocks together in one hooping, keeping in mind that there'll be different colors, so our color sort will be different, and also keeping in mind that my biggest hoop here at my daughter's house is 8 by 12. So those of you that will have a 9 by 14 hoop or bigger, whatever works, you won't have the same restraints that I'll have. But for those of you that have an 8 by 12, this will be a really good learning experience, because I'm always telling you, oh, you just have to take out steps 3 and 4, and then it should fit. And so I'm going to show you that. And I do like steps 3 and 4 of the quilting. It's the placement and tack down of the main fabric. And those are nice to haves, but like I've said before, it's a nice to have, but not a requirement. So I'm not going to be using it. I'm going to take out those steps 3 and 4. So I'm going to show you that. And I'm also going to transfer via USB stick. I'm using my old embroidery machine I gave to my daughter. So she's got that one here. And like I said, the biggest hoop is an 8 by 12. And we have quilting designs for this North Pole neighborhood. It's a 6 by 8 quilting design. So if you have a smaller hoop and you did 1 per hooping, that would work just fine. But I want to try and get 2 into 1 hooping. You can't get 3 because we're going to turn the house sideways. And even with doing that, so you'd have the 6 inches, it's really 6.5, but times 3. So you would need a hoop that's like 19.5, 20 inches big. And I don't know if that is an option. It's not on my brother machine. So I'm going to do 2 in 1 hooping and then 1 in a separate hooping. So I am going to run through this twice. Just to show you how to do it. But then, like I said, I'm going to show you how to take out those steps 3 and 4. And then also I'm going to have to shrink it down, because even with taking out those 2 steps, it doesn't fit in the brother hoop. So I'm going to show you a few things here. One other thing that's odd, let me go ahead and I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials. So the Embellishment Essentials on this laptop, I did change the background to pink like I like, but I tried to change the preferred thread color to Fil-Tec, and the only thread option I have on this computer is Brother Embroidery. I don't know why that is. Everything that I've seen and on my other computer, they're just there, all the tons of options of different threads and thread brands, and this one doesn't have it. I don't know what that's all about. So I'll have to research that a little bit, but for now I'm just going to use Brother Embroidery. So anyway, so the first thing always is to check your hoop size. So I've gone ahead and I've changed to my 8 by 12 hoop. You can see down here in the corner, it's not really the corner, down here at the bottom. So that's the first thing, is check your hoop size. If you're not on the hoop size you want, go up here to this preferences folder, click on that, choose your hoop size, and then say okay. And then come up here to this compass and click H for hoop. All right. So that's the first thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in the quilting design first. So I want to show you 2 things. So one is the Christmas, I think it's winter 1. That's it. Winter 1 has the snowflakes, and we've used that a few times on this project, and that's what Kimberbell recommends using, and that is super cute. I mean, think of the little snowflakes coming down around the house. So very cute. There's not a whole lot of snowflakes, but it's enough that's cute. So that's, I think, what I'm going to go for, but I was originally thinking I wanted Christmas 16 because that's the one that has the houses. So I'm going to show you that real quick just in case, just to give you some options. So I'm going to open up my folder that I have. I saved all my files onto Dropbox so that I can access them. So hopefully, I know that one thing is it will not show the pictures of them all, but that's okay. We don't need to worry about that too much. So I'm going to just, oops, what happened? Sorry. Folder, there we go. All right, I'm going to open it up a little bit. Now, Christmas 16 is the one that I was telling you about that has the houses, and I just think that's really cute. It's pretty busy, and the block itself is pretty busy with all the different applique pieces. So it's just something to keep in mind if you want something different. And now I'm not seeing it. Where is it? I saw it a minute ago. Christmas 16, I believe that's what it was called. Okay, so there's Christmas 16. I'm going to double click on that. Embroidery files, Pez is what I use for my machine. And so this is one issue, is normally you can see all the pictures, and when I loaded it to Dropbox, it takes a really long time before it generates all the pictures. So I can't see them all, but that's okay. So 6x8, and there it is. That's funny. So I did already pull these in, and so now it's showing those. That's funny when I was just saying, oh, it's not showing them. So here's this 6x8 in a horizontal. This is Christmas 16. I'm just going to bring this over here so you can see it a little better. And see, isn't that cute with the gingerbread and the houses on this Jingle All the Way quilt? So that's what I was originally thinking I wanted to do. I think that's super cute. Again, it's pretty busy though with the busy block. The block has all the different applique pieces for that cute little neighborhood. So either way, that's a very cute option, something to consider. And I'm going to show you the winter one. And the winter one is in the Jingle All the Way bundle of quilting designs. So that's a nice thing because many of us already purchased that. And so we can use something that's already in there. Or you can always buy a new design and add it to your library of quilting designs. So whatever works for you. I gotta find that Jingle All the Way quilting bundle. There it is. And then winter one, and we want the 6x8, and I believe in vertical is what we're looking for. So I'm gonna go over here to Embellishments, and I'm just gonna click delete on this since you already got to see it. Now I'm gonna show you the winter one in a 6x8 winter one vertical right there. So again, see, I already looked at it, and that's why it's showing. So if I go up to this view menu, I can go to large icons and see it shows that one. Isn't that funny? So I guess if you open it in Embellishments, then it will automatically generate the photo for you in Windows Explorer. All right, possibly also for Macs. I don't know how that all works. All right, so this is the winter one 6x8 in a vertical design. You can see it's like the snowflakes are falling down, and there's not a whole lot of them. That's one negative, is that the house will take up a lot of this design. So that's why I was thinking of that other one too. So you do you, figure out what works for you. I'm going to go ahead and at least work on this and see if I change my mind, but I think it'll be cute. Now, here's the concern. So since my biggest hoop here at my daughter's house is an 8x12, I could do this 3 times and, you know, no problem, but that's not going to teach us much of embrilliance, right? So I'm thinking that I'm going to do 2-in-1 hooping, and then I can show you quite a few things because I need to shrink it down. I need to do some stuff to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, if you have a 9x14 hoop, it'll fit better. So you won't have to do a lot of the shrinking or anything. You'll be all set. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this design. It's got all 5 parts to it, and I'm going to rotate it. All right, so these little blue arrows here, I'm going to click the left button and see how it's over my hoop. It's too big. All right, but that's okay. That's all right. We're going to figure it out. Once you rotate it, you can't use your arrow keys. You have to click on the design again. You have to rotate it and then click on the design. When you click on these designs that don't have a lot of stitching, by the way, you have to click right on the stitching. Otherwise, it just does not work. All right, so there we go. I clicked outside and then clicked back on the design. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this up, but I'm going to have to make some changes to it anyway because you can see it does not fit in my hoop. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click outside so nothing's selected. I'm going to click on number 3 and number 4. That's the part that makes the design always. This is always the issue. If you have a smaller hoop, that step 3 and 4 makes it from a 6x8 design to a 6.5 by 8.5 design. And you can always see that down here at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that on my computer as well. It's highlighted in yellow right now because it doesn't fit. I would have assumed it would turn red, but that's okay. All right, so I've got these 2 selected, 3 and 4. I'm going to click delete on my keyboard, and now they're gone. Now you would think that makes it a 6x8 design, it should fit, but it actually doesn't. So that's one thing too, is these designs that go into the stitching. So see right here, it goes into, what's it called, the seam allowance. See right here, this over here and over here, it's going past so that that part goes into that seam allowance. And so it's a little bit bigger. You can see down here at the bottom, it's not a 6x8 design, it's a 6x8 1/4 design. All right, so it's a little bit longer, and that's fine. but for my specific hoop that I have available to me today, that doesn't work. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make some changes to it, and that's pretty easy to do. All right, so right now we have the default blue and default orange and turquoise. I'm going to go ahead and change those only because when we bring in the house design, that will have some default blues and oranges as well, and I don't want those to join together. So I'm going to go ahead and change those. So I'm going to click on 1-1, the first design there. Click on the color, and this is what I was saying, I only have Brother Embroidery as an option. Isn't that funny? It usually gives you lots of options, and I had no problem with my other computer. I don't know why, and I even checked to see if there's an update, and there's not, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But for now, I'm on Brother Embroidery. I'm going to click on Sky Blue, the first color that comes up for me for Brother Embroidery, and say okay. And then 1-2, click on the color. And the first color that comes up for me is Deep Gold, say okay. And then 1-3, there's probably not a turquoise anywhere in the design, so I don't really need to change this one, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. I'm going to click on that color down in this properties window and click the first color that comes up for me is Teal Green in Brother Embroidery. All right, and again, it doesn't matter what color you choose, you're just making it so that you can do a color sort later and have the parts that you want to join, and the ones you don't want to join will not. All right, so that one is done. So I need to make it smaller. You can see it does not fit. All right, so I'm going to click on that design. Now, this is one important thing. I mentioned it in another video recently. This scale proportionately, I don't want it to scale it proportionately. I want to decide for myself, and that may disorient my, distort is the right word. It may distort my snowflakes a little bit, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click this button here, the one that says scale proportionately. I'm going to click it so that it's not locked. I don't want it to scale proportionally, and I'm going to just decide my own sizes. So I've already played around with it a little bit, and I've noticed that 7.75 for the length works out really well. But then when I bring in that second design, it still is too big for my hoop. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Now, the issue with making it a little bit smaller, there's a couple of things. I changed it to 5.75. All right, so I have 7 3/4 by 5 3/4 for my size, and that works out well for me. You do you, whatever works for you. Here's the negative that I want to point out with changing this size. So we won't have that overall tack down, that basting stitch. And if you don't have the pop rollers and you use that as your guide for cutting, you're not going to have that. All right. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I have pop rollers and I love my pop rollers. I actually don't have them here at my daughter's house now that I think about it. So I'm not going to cut until I get home, maybe. I'm not sure. But either way, you want to measure out the design so that the pop rollers, it's got that 6x8 pop roller. I think it's the middle one. And that works out just really well for cutting and getting it the right size, because having this be a little bit smaller, our batting will be a little bit smaller, our final cut size, if we used the basting stitch, which we don't have, so that's not going to be a concern. But anyway, so it does change a few things, so it's just something to keep in mind, that's all. All right, so I have these 3 designs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this up to the very top of this hoop, and I can see the top of the hoop. I can move this crosshair. I clicked on the compass button, and I'm just moving my crosshair so that I can see how close I am to the top of that hoop, and that looks really good. All right, so I like that. That's good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click back on this compass, click H again for hoop, and then I'm going to click on that design. It's already selected, and I'm going to say Control C to copy it, and then Control V like victory to paste it. And I always say Control V like victory because somebody told me they couldn't understand if I was saying B or V or what it was. So I say V for victory. All right. So that second one is now done. You can see it. It's on top of the first one, so you can't see it in this window, but you can see here in the objects window that we have 2 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my arrow keys, and I'm going to bring it down to the very bottom of the hoop, very bottom, making sure not to go over those lines at all, but you can see how very close it is. So again, I'm going to come up to this compass button. I'm going to move my crosshair. That's my daughter's dog barking. Excuse him. He's a huge dog, a Great Dane. He's a puppy, but he's huge and so much fun. He's super cute. But anyway, so you may hear him. Sorry. All the kids, she has 6 children. I have 6 grandchildren here, and they are all just now went to bed, so we should have a little bit of quiet from them, but we may hear the dog. All right, so I moved this down just so that I can see where it's going to hit, and that's as far down in my hoop as I can get it. So I'm going to click back on that compass button, click H for hoop, and click outside so nothing's selected. You can see I have just a tiny bit of space between these two blocks, and that's okay. I'll just make sure that my fabrics don't overlap in a way that will cause harm or cause a problem. So I'm going to just bring them up, and I'll show that in photos as well. All right, so those two are done. That is our quilting designs. And like I said, I changed the color so I can do a color sort later. So we also want to bring in, we have a third one, but the third one I don't need to change the sizing. You won't need to change the sizing. If you have a 9x14 hoop, just rotate it, bring it in, change those colors. You're going to be all good to go. All right, but if you have an 8x12 hoop like I'm going to use today, then I need to shrink it down a little bit. All right, so the next thing is to bring in that North Pole neighborhood. So there are 3 of them. I think the design is all the same. It's just the appliques that will be different. So I'm going to go back to my Jingle All the Way folder and find those embroidery files, Pez, and it's called North Pole Neighborhood. And again, I don't have photos. So there's a 5x7. We want the 5x7. There may be a bigger one, so make sure you're choosing the right size. We want a 5x7 North Pole neighborhood. Where are you? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My computer was dying, so I had to find a cord. So we were looking for North Pole Neighborhood, which is the title in the book, but it's actually Christmas House is the design. And it does say that down underneath North Pole Neighborhood to look for 5x7 Christmas House. So that's what we've got here. So I'm going to click on that and just drag it over. If you're doing it from the Merge Stitch File button, you would double click on it. If you have it from a folder, you would just drag it over. All right, so we're done with that. So I'm just going to close this folder. All right, so there's our first house design. Now, there's all those cyans and oranges. That's all the different applique pieces. So we have to keep in mind that there's pretty much nothing that's the same. The only thing that's the same on the 3 different blocks that we need is the windows. Everything else has a different applique fabric, which means a different thread color. So we're not going to want to do a color sort of all of these different houses. So really what we could do our color sort now just to get the placement and tack down of the batting. That's really going to be the only thing. I'm looking at the design. There are 2 of the houses have the same door, and 3 of them have the same window. All the rest of the applique pieces are different. All right, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do the green house and the red house together so I can get the door at the same time and the windows at the same time, and then do the black house as my separate design. All right, so while we're here, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and change these colors. We want them to all be different except for the door and the windows. Again, if you're doing these separately, you don't need to worry about that. But if you're going to join them, just be careful that it looks like the wreath. We can do the wreath the same. All the other ones, we're going to have different thread colors. So we'll have to keep that in mind when we do our copy and paste. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to run through and I'm going to change these colors, because if we don't, all these cyan and oranges, all those applique pieces will join together. All right, so I'm going to click outside because right now all of these parts in number 3 are selected. So I'm going to click outside, and then I'm going to click on 3-1, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on the second color down. Yeah, because I didn't have, so if you did not delete steps 3 and 4, then you probably used electric blue or not electric blue or whatever your second color is. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the 3rd color just to be in the same line with you. So I'm going to choose pewter is my 3rd color down. So I'm going to say okay. And then 3-2, click on the color. I'm going to choose the 3rd color down. For me, that is russet brown. Makes me think of an Idaho potato. All right, 3-3, click on the color. And this one, I think this one is the window. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the 4th color down. For me, that is Prussian blue. And then 3-4, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the 4th color down. For me, that is light brown. And then 3-5, click on the color. I'm going to use the 5th color down. That is ultramarine. And then I'm just scrolling down to get to the next set. So 3-6, click on the color, and I'm going to use the 5th color down. For me, that is brass. And then 3-7, click on the color, and the last color I used was ultramarine, so I'm going to use blue is the next one. And then 3-8, click on the color. The last one I used was brass. You can always see your colors up here. I'm going to use the next one down. For me, that is khaki. And then it looks like our last set, 3-9, that's the roof. Click on the color, and the last one I used was blue, so I'm going to use cornflower blue. And then 3-10, click on the color, and the last one I used was khaki, so I'm going to use deep gold. Is that right? I think we already used deep gold. Yeah, we used deep gold in the, I'm going to say cancel to come up here. Deep gold and sky blue we used. So just got to make sure I don't have a sky blue. All right, so on this 310, I'm going to click on the color, and like I said, the next color for me would be deep gold. I don't want deep gold. And I'm not going to choose beige either, in case you already used that. I'm going to choose linen. So I'm just choose any color that's not already been used. All right. And then 311, these we want to make sure that they are different as well, because we don't want those to join together. In fact, really all of these parts, they could be the same color. It's the these satin stitches, those are the ones that we don't want to join. So actually we can join all of these, and we just put down the different fabrics, so that will save us a lot of time, more time than I expected. So I'm clicking on 311. I'm going to click on the color, and I'm just going to use Brother Embroidery Red. All right, and then 312, click on the color, and I'm going to use white. That's the one that we can join that part. I don't know if it will. We'll probably have to align them in a different way. What's the right word? Move them around, placement. All right, so then 313, click on the color, and I'm going to choose gray. 314, click on the color, and I'm going to choose mint green. And then 315, click on the color, and I'm going to choose lime green. And then what is this one? Oh, how cute. Little hearts coming out of the chimney. That's adorable. Click on the color, and I think I already used gray. Yep, so I'm going to use silver. Say okay, and then 317, click on the color, and I'm going to choose emerald green. So that one we can join as well. All right, so that one is done. I'm going to click on that design, and I'm going to rotate it using this little left blue arrow key here, and then click outside so nothing's selected. Click back on your house, and I'm going to move it up. Now it probably would be good to do an align and distribute, because we don't have a box around it to get it lined up just right. So I'm going to do that while I'm here. So I'm going to come up here and close these designs. Let's see, I'm going to make this a little bigger, see if it, nope. I was thinking it would give me, yeah, I wanted this little plus and minus. You can always use these here to move it over as well, but I want to close these down so I can see them all. And then I'm going to click on number 1 design. That's the first quilting design. Hold down my control button on my keyboard and click on number 3. And then I can do utility, align and distribute. And I'm going to say center, center. It's going to line up just within that quilting design, and say apply. And it moved just a tiny bit up to the left. All right, so that was pretty close anyway. So that worked out well. I want to see if there's any special cutting instructions. Do you remember on Candy Cane Lane we had to have those houses lined up just right, but there's nothing written about that in here. So we should be good. All right, so that one is done. I'm going to do a copy and paste to get a second house, but we're going to have to be careful to make sure that we are doing our color sort correctly, because some of them we don't want to join. All right, so I am going to click outside because right now we have 1 and 3 selected. If we did a paste, we would get both of those. So click outside so nothing's selected, then click on number 3, that's just the house, and say Control C on your keyboard and then Control V like victory to paste it. And it goes right on top of that first one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it and bring it down here. I'm going to do another align and distribute with that second quilting design just to make sure that it's lined up as it should be. So I'm going to close up these windows and I'm going to click on number 2 quilting design and number 4, holding down the control button on my keyboard so that I get both of those selected. So I have number 2 and number 4. And I'm going to go to Utility, Align and Distribute, and I'm going to say Center, Center, and it will line up with that second quilting design. And let's watch it move here. Apply. And it moved up pretty good amount. All right, and then close. All right, so those are done, but don't forget we need to change some of the colors on number 4. Otherwise, you'll be putting down a green fabric and stitching a red outline, so we got to make sure that some of these are not going to join. All right, so we have the placement for the house itself, and then the tack down. Those we can join because the color's not going to matter. We're going to put down both of the fabrics. All right, and then the window for the window applique for the placement and tack down, and then the placement and tack down of the door, and the placement and tack down of the chimney, and the placement and tack down of the roof. And now we get to those satin stitches, and this is where you want to make sure that we don't join these. All right, and we will probably have to move the placement a little bit to get everything to join correctly, but this will at least get us started. All right, so I'm on 411 and I want to change that color. I don't want it to be the same because I don't want these two to join. I want it'll create a stop so that we can do our greenhouse and then do our red house. All right, so I'm going to click on that color and I'm going to choose Deep Rose. All right, it's going to be a pink house for me. All right, and again, this is just to create a stop. All right, then 412, this one we can keep the same. I don't think it'll join anyway because it's going to be after the house, so it's not really going to matter. Let me think. If we do both of the houses and then we can make that work. We can join that. I'll show you how in a minute. All right, so 412, I'm going to leave it as white. And then 413, these are going to be different. Oh, these are the same. So if you're doing the green and the red house, the door on these is that black plaid on both of them. So I'm going to keep that one as well. All right, and then 414, the chimney, one of them's red, one of them's green, so we want to make sure to change this. I'm going to click on the color, and I'm going to choose olive green. Looks a little black, but it's olive green. All right, and then 415, this is the roof, and one of them's red and one of them's green, so we want to make sure to change this. So I'm going to choose, let's see, we already did, I don't know if I've done dark olive. I think I'll do dark olive. Let's see, okay. All right, and then this can stay the same. This is those little hearts. We can keep that. And then that wreath as well. So these can be the same as well. So I'm going to keep that. So some of the parts will join, some won't, and some won't because they won't be in the right placement, but we can move them around after and do another color sort. All right, so this is done. That was not nearly as difficult as I expected. All right, so this looks really good. Hopefully we got all the colors right, but so let's go ahead and do a color sort. So I need to move this up so I can see. It says that we have 40 color steps on this. Oops, sorry. There we go. 40 color steps. I had to move it because the bar for my screen recorder is covering it, so I couldn't see the numbers. So there's 40 color steps. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a color sort. And then again, we'll probably have to do it again because of the placement, but I'll show you. All right, so at first, the most important thing right now is just make sure that you have your quilting and your houses lined up in the way that you want them within your hoop. All right, and remember we did an align and distribute with each quilting design, so we should be all good on that. All right, so I'm going to go to Utility, Color Sort. And it thinks. Don't forget, you want to have these same settings I have, especially this tolerance at 0 and then these not checked. All right, so it says it's reduced the design by 16 color changes. So I'm going to click New View. Always click New View. Very important. It will give us the opportunity to see what it did and make any changes. So click New View. We can always go back to that first tab if it's like completely off. All right, so now everything's down into one design, and that's why I was saying that we may need to move something. So let's just check it out. So we have our placement for the batting, and those both are together, so that's perfect. Our tack down for the batting, and then we have both quilting designs. So one fabric, that's one thing I forgot to mention, is actually both of these are on gray fabric. So whew, we're good on that. So the greenhouse and the red house, if you're doing those two in the same hooping, those are the same. So you can have your quilting design be the same. All right. And again, if you're doing like the greenhouse and the black house, then you would go back to Untitled 1. If you want a different color of your quilting on each of them, you would just go back to 1 and change that one color and then go back and do your color sort again. All right. So those are great. That's 1-3. Then 1-4, this is the placement for the fabric for the house on both of those. Perfect. And then the tack down for both houses, the placement for both windows, the tack down for both windows, the placement for the door fabric, the tack down for the door fabric, the placement for the chimneys, both of them, and then the tack down for the chimneys and the placement for the roof and the tack down for the roof. Perfect. Now is when we get to those satin stitches. So let's see how we did. All right, so there's the first satin stitch. And then you can see it jumps right into that window. And that's where I want to do both of the satin stitches at the same time. So I'm going to change the order of this. So you can see I'm on the first satin stitch of the house is 114. If I scroll down, the second one is currently at 121. So I'm going to just move that up so that I can do both of the houses at the same time. Even though they're not going to join together, I just want to do them at the same time. So I'm going to easily click on this. I click on the picture part. It makes it the easiest in my opinion. And I'm going to bring it up, and it didn't go all the way up. That's okay. Now I'm going to right click on it and say move earlier. So I have 1 house, 2 house. All right. And then we have, oops, sorry. What did I do there? I moved my elbow. All right. Now this is the satin stitch for both windows. So that's perfect. That did do them. So that's why we want to make sure that that is after the house fabric. That's super important. All right. And then we have, let's see, the first door, and then I don't have the second door. So again, I'm going to move this up. So I'm going to click, I'm on 117, and then 122 is the second one. So 122 is the second door. I'm going to drag that up to 117. So here we have when I say this numbers, they're right here in the objects window. So there's the first door and the second door. Perfect. And then there is our first chimney. So I'm going to find that second chimney, which is at number 23. Click on the picture and I'm going to drag it up. So I have the first chimney and the second chimney. And then I have the first roof. Here's the second roof. I'm going to click that and bring it up. Didn't go all the way. So right click, move earlier. All right. So there's first chimney, not chimney, sorry, roof, first roof, second roof. And then we have the hearts, those are joined together. That's perfect. And then the 2 wreaths, and those are joined together as well. So this is exactly how I wanted it. And it was really simple, very simple. So we could do, let's see, should we do another align and distribute? I have to think about this. These are the, oh, so it looks like I already used gray. Good thing I caught this now. So one of my doors is, oh, this is because they're both on that black plaid, so it doesn't matter. I can have those joined. That's fine. If you wanted your door, the outline of your door to not join, then you would just change one of the colors, but they're on the same fabric, so I'm going to keep them. So that's perfect. This worked out really well. I'm very happy with this. All right, that was much easier than I expected. So you could do another align and not align and distribute, another color sort, but there isn't any purpose. Everything they're going to be broken out, and the parts that we did want to join, like the 2 doors and the 2 windows, those joined, and the hearts, those joined too. So that's all perfect. All right, so how many color steps did we have? Looks like 24 color steps. Sorry, it does not like me moving this around. Okay. Goodness gracious. There we go. Okay. So I am going to do a file, save stitch file as, and I'm in my Jingle All the Way folder. I'm going to go to Dropbox embroidery files, Jingle All the Way right there, and then to the embroidery files. So you're just navigating to where you want to save this. It could be your desktop, it could be whatever. You could put your USB drive into your computer and save it directly to your USB drive. I don't want to do that because I like saving it on my computer so that I always have it in case I did this again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name this, let's see, Christmas house, North Pole, I'm going to say North Pole house ×2. All right, save. And then I could put my USB stick in and save it. I'll just copy it over after. So that one is done. So we have that one other one to do, and all I'm going to do to that is add in my quilting design and the house again. So I'm going to do this pretty simple. I'm going to go to File, New Page, and that one I can do, let's see, if you did a 6x10 hoop, you'd again have to take out those 3rd and 4th steps, and I don't want to do that. I like having those, so I'm going to do it on the second one. I'm going to keep my 8x12 hoop, and I'm going to bring in that quilting design, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kind of cheat and just copy it. Like, how easy. Make sure, if you're copying it, make sure you go to that untitled one, the first tab, because otherwise it's all together and all joined and all that. So I'm just going to copy this first quilting design and this 3rd house. I'm going to say Control C. So I have both of those. I'm going to go to my new tab and say Control V, and then I just need to rotate it. How easy is that? I don't think I can do it while it's here. Let's see. It let me. That's nice. All right. So I'm going to click outside so nothing's selected. Click back on these because I need to center it. But how easy was that? Like, I didn't even have to worry about redoing anything because we already did all the work on that. So it's all, and we don't need to worry about all of the color sorting or anything because it's just the one house. We're just doing the quilting and the one house, so we're all set. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Again, you can do it in a 6x10, but then you'd have to shrink it down or take out the oh, and did we already, I already took those out. I forgot about that. I don't want to do that. So I am going to, I'll show you a quick, easy way to do this. I'm going to bring in that original quilting design. All right, so I'm back to my winter one design, and I'm just going to grab that, drag it over. It goes on top of that first one, and I'm going to delete this first one, this first design. Now, if you do that, I just click delete on my keyboard. Now it's super important. You have to make sure to bring this on top of the house because right now it's going to stitch all of the house and then do the quilting on top. So make sure to right click on that, say move earlier so that it does the quilting design first and then the house. And how easy was that? So, and I don't need to do a color sort because like I said, it's one quilting design, one house, we're good. So I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as, and just a quick notice, the reason I took away that first one is because then I still have all 5 of my steps of my quilting. All right, I'm sure you already picked up on that, but just in case. So file, save stitch file as, and I am going to name this one North Pole House ×1. That's a Z, ×1. There we go. All right, so this is just the one house. And then I can transfer both of those, copy both of those to my USB stick, bring it over to my computer if you have embroidery machine that is Wi-Fi ready. You can just send it, but I don't have that here at my daughter's house, so I'm going to use my USB stick. And that was easier than I expected. I think we're ready. Let's get started. shirt today. This is a fun one. I just did this one not too long ago. Your potential is endless. Isn't that fun? I love it. And of course, you know me, I added some bling. I thought this was really cute. I found this sweater on Amazon and I was pretty excited about it. It wasn't too expensive. It's fleece lined because I like the fleece line now. I never knew about fleece line stuff until I moved to Idaho, and this is a nice one and it wasn't too expensive. So I'm going to add a link here. This is to be able to find the sweater that I found. It's a really nice hoodie. I like it. It's a good one from Amazon, so I'll add a link in my Amazon storefront for that. The design is from Designs by Juju. I will add a link directly to this design. I think it came in a pack of probably like 6 designs or something. And I will add that information in the video notes for you. And how are you doing with your goal? So my stomach just growled. I'm hungry. I need some dinner. So I am working it. The scale is not working for me right at this moment, but it will. I'm just going to keep working it, keep working my program, make sure that I'm doing all the things, drinking all the water, getting sleep, eating really, really healthy, and the scale will work its way out. I'm sure of it. But anyway, so today hubby and I went to the gym and I did 2 hikes with Graham. He's the guy that from Outlanders that I told you about recently, and it was a beautiful hike, absolutely beautiful hike. Both of them, I did 2 of them, and this one it wasn't very hilly, and so I upped my treadmill. I was like, well, so I had it at like 8% most of the way. Sometimes bumped it up a little bit higher, and sometimes I don't think I dropped it much at all, but. So I got more hiking than he did because his was more kind of a downhill. And so those were great workouts, really good workouts. The other day I joined a cycling challenge on iFit, and because I finished up the one I was doing one in Argentina with one of the iFit trainers, and so I found a new one to start a new series, and this one is with paraplegic Olympian, and I don't remember the exact wording he used, but it's so inspiring. I mean, this guy, he was 24 years old, and he like dove into ocean or water or something that was too shallow and immediately was paralyzed at 24 years old, and like working really hard, doing really good athlete in all the things, like all the sports, really good. And here he is now paralyzed, completely paralyzed from his chest down. So, and yet he's still out riding and doing all of these things, and an Olympian. And so it's really an inspiring story, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's cool because the writing is good. Like he's got some where you do some where you bump up to get your heart rate and all, you're doing all of the things, but there's no climbing. And so when I'm climbing, so I go like 2 minutes and I bump up the climbing and then I bring it down, and while I'm climbing I'm standing, and so I'm getting my heart rate up, I'm making it work for me, and hearing this really inspiring story. So I'm really enjoying that series as well. That one I'm doing at home, the hiking one and running I'm doing at the treadmill, and so I'm also doing a lot of weightlifting, and I just bumped up my leg workout on one of the leg press. I was doing it at 80 pounds and now I'm doing it at 125. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's showing progress and building strength. So that's pretty exciting. So I'm working it hard. I'm doing all the things. So I want to hear about your goal. Are you making some things in between? I have to tell you, my granddaughter sent me a voice message saying, Grandma, can you please make me a new doggy Steffi, because her dog got a hold of her dog Steffi and wrecked it, and so she's asking me for a new dog Steffi. So I'm going to be working on that for sure. I was like, how cute is that? She wants Grandma to make something. So I make sure to I'm trying to make things in between especially when I'm editing videos. A Steffi you can't really do in between because you have to sit there and really monitor it. Unlike a sweater, you can just set it up to go for the most part. So anyway, I'm really enjoying it, and I want to hear what you're making. Share photos in the Cristin Creates group, even if it's not our Jingle All the Way project. We love to hear about other things that you're making as well. So I want to hear about your goal and how you're doing.